everybody. Welcome to another episode of Who Invited Her. We are San Diego's LGBTQ pop culture podcast. I am your host, Tony, and I'm here with
Eric.
Eric's here this week. Party Bear Eric. We don't have Bashy. He is still gone. Where is he? Palm Springs?
Palm Springs.
Palm
a gutter.
Springs.
I don't know.
A gutter, knowing him. But it is a jam-packed show. We have a very special guest this week that I'm super excited for, and it's a lot of butt sex this week, you guys. So be prepared. Be prepared. We have the butt stuff doctor. Yeah, it's just so weird to introduce you like that. But Doctor Carlton here in San Diego.
Yay. And I love that it's going to be jam-packed.
Jam-packed. Yes, we have Dr. Carlton on the show. For the whole show, we're going to get into men's sexual health, a bunch of stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun. But first, I wanted to...
Wait, I'm here too.
Oh, yeah, Robbie's here.
Hi, Rob.
Producer Rob running the
Rob.
ship, making sure we sound great. So I wanted to get started with you, Doctor. Are you from San Diego originally? Let's start there.
Originally, I'm from South Carolina.
Really?
Yeah, so I grew up really super religious, Southern Baptist, really repressed.
Oh, wow.
In like a tobacco town in South Carolina. We're
Wow.
talking really, really backwoods. And I knew about, 6 or 7 when I was twirling around in the front yard with my gold lasso, acting like Wonder Woman, that I
Yeah.
probably, might be different than the other boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of knew I wanted to get out of there because I knew there was just nothing there for me. I went to university and med school down there,
Yeah.
and then got the hell out of there.
You're like, I'm out.
Yep.
Bye.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did all my formal training at the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota, which is the world's best institution for what I do, which is
Yeah.
pretty awesome. That place was fucking freezing, so I got out of there really fast. It was like 34 below zero sometimes. I was like, this place is subhuman almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had always, dreamed of living in Southern California as a
Yeah.
kid. I think I watched too much Brady Bunch and like
That'll do it.
Beverly Hillbillies. I'm aging
Yeah.
myself, but definitely I just was like, I want that's me. That's what I want.
That's the life I want.
Exactly.
When did you get to San Diego? How long have you been here?
I've been in San Diego 11 years. My first
okay.
job out of training was in Palm Springs,
Oh, nice.
which at 32. At that point, I had a lot of patients who would just come into my office and just sit across from me and just kind of like
Talk.
drool,
Oh, man.
which I was okay with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my hubby and I had kids, and we realized that Palm Springs is just not a place for kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we came to San Diego. We're like, wow, this place has so much for kids, and it's actually alive.
Yeah, it's
for
like culture.
the youth
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
here. It's just amazing. So we ended up moving 11 years ago and haven't looked back, and the kids are doing great. And
Oh, that's cool.
it's just San Diego is an awesome place.
Yeah, you can't go wrong. I mean, it's permanent summer year round.
It's beautiful.
Seriously.
Yeah.
It really is. It really
How
is.
did you specifically become the butt doctor? Like, how did that start? Because for
Well-
people who don't know, on Instagram and TikTok, 'cause you have like, 2.5 million likes on your videos. You have a lot of followers
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
And you educate the population about butt sex pretty much. So how did that specific topic start for you?
Well, it
in
kind
your niche?
of started with the pandemic. Basically, I
Yeah.
was terrified and mortified to be a doctor at that point because I wasn't used to risking my life to go to work
Yeah.
every day,
Yeah.
and I needed something to just take the edge off. My kids are really into TikTok, and I just opened it up to see what it was all about one day, and I lost myself about 4 hours in one
What
night
happened?
and realized, wow, this is a really cool app. So I started getting a little ballsy and decided to post some stuff, and I gained about a couple thousand followers. And it wasn't my original content, though.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow,
Yeah.
what do I know about, and what do people want to hear about? And I decided to post a couple of videos about butt stuff, how to prepare for it, how to relax for it, how to make it a great experience. And I posted butt stuff 1 and 2.
And it took off from there.
And it literally put my phone down, didn't think about it. I picked my phone back up, looked, and the first comment was from a mother who said, I can't believe you're posting stuff like this on on an app for 12-year-old kids. And I thought, oh, shit.
Oh God.
Should I delete this or should I just
No,
block her and keep it up?
What would it? And you obviously
And
blocked her.
I blocked her, and then I turned my phone off, and then I picked it back up the next day, and I had 50,000 new followers and like 1 million views on these videos. And I thought, wow, I have touched on something that people are hungry to know about.
Yeah.
And I thought about my own experience as a kid, and even as a teenager, a university student, a medical student, resident, a fellow. Nobody ever talks about gay sex.
No,
And-
it's true.
and
like
it-
an
yeah.
honest conversation
Yeah.
about it
Yeah.
and giving like the 411 without having to just being straightforward about it without
Yeah.
sugarcoating it
Yeah.
or making it like easy to talk about, just straightforward, which I like.
Right, and that's kind of another fault in what I was doing. I was sort of aiming it at the gay community,
Yeah.
but over half of my initial followers were women. They were like, "Okay, yeah, I'm into butt stuff," and then it really hit me that, hey, listen, everybody's got a butt.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nerves. There's a lot of pleasure that comes from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Straight men, gay men, women, whatever,
They all love it.
Everybody loves butt stuff. So
Yeah.
why not talk about how to make it better and how to do
Yeah.
it right, and so you don't get hurt.
Exactly.
And people really, really have appreciated that.
I find it very educational
Yeah.
when I like checked out your videos and everything,
Yeah.
because you do cover topics and you're all the taboo stuff, and the way you approach it is very straightforward for everybody to understand. You don't use like all medical terms and stuff. You make it, not to say dumbed down, but you make it so everybody understands, which is nice.
Right. And I'm realistic about what I
Yeah.
talk about. I know that people aren't going to use condoms.
Yeah.
It's 2021 and people are on PrEP and people don't use condoms. I realize that. And I can preach till I'm blue in the face that, using condoms is going to prevent STIs, and that's great and everything. But the reality is
Nobody's using
nobody's using them. So
Yeah.
this is what you need to know. This is how you can harm reduction. How do you protect yourself the most when you're doing something that's going to potentially do harm to you?
it. Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, I can't believe you're talking about poppers and how to use
But why
poppers
not?
right. This is an app for 12-year-old kids, and I'm like, well,
Do they not think 12-year-old kids are wondering about this?
well, I know. Well, and also, but also, like people die from this shit that
Yeah.
I talk about.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to get out there and not
Educate.
have another person get harmed. So so it's been this harm reduction, this reality base,
Yeah.
that's that sort of, okay, I realize that we're all human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to do this shit. So let's be real about what you need to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do it with a sense of humor too, which
Oh, yeah,
makes
which
it
is really
enjoyable.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I try to mix humor with education.
Yep.
With just being stupid sometimes.
So I have a question when it comes to PrEP. So
Uh-huh.
for people who may not be able to take PrEP, or they don't know if they should, what should people know about PrEP, especially if they have a medical, like another condition that could affect, that can be made worse or be affected because they're taking PrEP? Is there anything, or what do people need to look out for if they're thinking of going on PrEP?
Well, really with PrEP, first of all, you have to be HIV negative.
Yeah.
So your doctor is going to check you for HIV first and foremost. Your kidney function is going to be checked. Your liver function, all your blood counts, and then they'll always check you for STIs before you start. The two big things that people worry about with the Truvada full dose PrEP is kidney dysfunction.
Okay.
And bone density issues. There have
Yeah.
been lawsuits on both things. That's why your blood tests are measured every 3 months when you're on PrEP, if you're doing it properly. And a lot of people aren't doing it properly, but if you do it properly, you get your blood checked every 3 months to
Yeah.
make sure that you're not seeing any bumps in kidney function, because lower dose Descovy has less issues with kidney function and bone density issues. So I think it's a safer choice.
Yeah.
A lot of people have to make decisions about PrEP based on their kidney function. Some people say, "Oh, well, my kidneys aren't doing great, and what's my option?" And I said, "Well, you could try low dose. You could try the lower dose Descovy, but let's see what
Yeah.
your doctor says. Always clear it with your doctor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at least monitor it very carefully." There have been some other rare things, but for the most part, PrEP has been very safe for a lot of people.
Yeah, I know. I was told I couldn't do PrEP because of my kidney stuff. So,
Really?
yeah, because I had
Yeah.
kidney cancer.
Oh,
so they
wow.
had to remove part of one of my kidneys, so I don't have two full ones. But my doctor was like, "It's going to be too hard on your
Yeah.
your kidneys." But so let's say someone like me who can't go on PrEP. How do you take precautions now that we're in a world where nobody's really using condoms? And we've talked about this on the show, where you kind of get shamed now for
using
For using condoms.
Yeah, and which is really sad because there's a lot
know.
of other stuff that we'll talk about too that can happen and can go wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Protect yourself the best you can. You can't worry about what other people think about you or judge you or condoms. If you really, really trust somebody and you know they're on PrEP, then as long as they're on PrEP, then you should be okay.
Yeah.
So that's and again that's a reality-based harm reduction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Talk. Not
Yeah.
telling people to just go off and have
Right.
unprotected sex, but if you're gonna make sure that you can trust what people are saying, because let's face it, a lot of people aren't very truthful about that.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on PrEP. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for people, and you had brought this up, the 211.
Yeah,
that's another one.
I'd actually not heard of that, and then I saw one of your videos, and I thought, wow, that's something great. That should be promoted more.
Yeah, and it actually is very common in Europe. A lot of people in Spain and Belgium and France and Germany use 211. So 211, so Truvada is higher dose, right?
Yeah.
So if you take 2 pills of Truvada, it gets to your tissues fast enough as long as you take a pill every 24 hours after that for 2 days. So 2 and then 1 to protect you against HIV if you're a male.
Okay.
Because females, it doesn't get to, or trans folks can't get to the vaginal tissues in high enough doses.
Oh, okay.
So if you're not, and that's another thing about with you that's something to consider is it's going to be less toxic in the long run if you're so if you're not that active and you can plan for sex, then it's a really good option. You have to take it between 2 and 24 hours prior to your sex.
Yeah.
So like if you're like, okay, it's Thursday at 8 o'clock and I know I'm going to be having sex tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, then Truvada at 2 pills of Truvada, at that point, 24 hours at least before, or, no less than 2 hours before. And then 24 hours after each dose.
Yeah.
Is very helpful. So like if you're only having sex once a month, why take a pill that's going to fuck up your kidneys for for the whole month?
Yeah,
when you're
true.
when it's 211 and you only ended up taking 4 pills.
Yeah.
Rather than 31.
No, that's true.
Yeah. So it's kind of an exciting method. It's not FDA approved, but it's World Health Organization approved.
Okay.
And it's very popular in Europe. And my friend who's in Madrid says, yeah, that's the way I take it. 211.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Okay.
And I've been completely fucking destroyed on social media for bringing that up. How dare you recommend that somebody take PrEP like that? Everybody should be on it this way, So there's always detractors, no matter what you say.
Yeah, but
No,
we're not
that
all
is
the
true.
same. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
sometimes
everybody's not-
people
yeah.
have different needs.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, absolutely. So for people who aren't that active, it's a great way to protect yourself.
And since we're talking about PrEP, I have a question. What for people who may not know out there, if you are on PrEP or you're with somebody who's on PrEP, what is the risk of unprotected sex while you guys are on PrEP? Is there?
Well, PrEP only prevents HIV.
Yeah, when we're
So,
talking
yeah.
about HIV, the prevention of it.
It's incredibly low
Yeah.
risk to transmit HIV. And another thing that we need to talk about when it comes to HIV is undetectable and untransmittable.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of people in our community are horrible people and shame people who are HIV positive.
Yeah.
And block them and won't have sex with them and just treat them like shit because they're positive. And a lot of times people who are positive and undetectable are so good about taking their medications and they're so on top of their health that they're a lot less risk than someone who doesn't have a fucking clue about what their HIV status is.
Yeah.
Right.
So undetectable, U equals U, undetectable equals untransmittable. There have been a lot of studies. There's one in the Lancet, which is a prominent medical journal, that showed that there were 0 cases of transmission between undetectable partners.
Yeah.
When the partner was infected, it was always from an encounter outside of the relationship.
Oh, interesting. So
Yeah.
within the relationship, they're both on PrEP.
No. Within the relationship, one's positive and one's
one's
negative.
Yeah.
The negative one always stayed negative unless
It was outside.
Unless it was
Okay.
outside. There was
So
a couple
if
of
you,
cases where
let's
they
say
turned
you're
positive.
the negative and you're not going outside of the relationship, and the person who is positive is undetectable. But let's say the person who's negative isn't on PrEP. So what is that person's risk? The person that's negative can't be on PrEP and all
It's
that.
incredibly, incredibly low. I've had one friend on social media say that they were positive and their new relationship suddenly turned positive, even though he was undetectable.
Yeah.
And I said, well, the science doesn't really add up there. So I'm not sure what was happening outside of that. He's like, well, really, I have no clue what he was doing outside of the relationship. So I can't really verify that. But that's all hearsay. But when it comes to scientific studies, there's been no determination of HIV transmission in someone who's undetectable to someone who's negative.
Wow. But I do agree with you. Like the stigma in the community is
Yeah.
still there with
It
people
really
who
is.
are HIV positive, and I
far
don't get
out.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. You
yeah.
would think. Do
Yeah.
you find is it a generational thing, or just that it's still looked at being HIV positive as something to shame? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think people like me who are almost 50 are a lot more scarred by HIV.
Yeah.
Because we watched a lot of people die.
I know, like me and Rob are mid 40s, and we grew up in the early 90s, late 80s, and I remember when it first hit and how terrifying it was.
Yeah, so
we lost people, and
so I think there's that fear that kind of puts an initial block up, and it even took me until a few years ago to really wrap my head around undetectable and untransmittable. So relax. So so I think it's less of an issue, but still there's a lot of
still
stigma.
there.
And even if you go on videos where people post U equals U, there's this great guy on Instagram and TikTok now. On TikTok, he's Pause RN, and he did a U equals U video, and it got tons of views, but there was so many hateful comments.
Because people can be nasty.
No,
and
they
they're
can be
horrible.
really nasty and horrible. Yeah.
But since we're talking about HIV and all that, there have been, and you did a video about this, the vaccination stuff
Trial.
with trials with HIV. So what is happening with that? What do people need to know?
Well-
and why is this automatically happening all of a sudden with these breakthroughs and COVID vaccine coming out? Is there a relation to that?
Absolutely. There is a relationship with that. And a lot of people are frustrated that HIV has been around for over 40 years and we don't have a vaccine.
Yeah.
And COVID's here for a year and boom, we got a vaccine. Well, the technology for the vaccine has been around, for the COVID vaccine has been around for about 5 years. And the people who came up with the whole mRNA basis for vaccination are probably going to get a Nobel Prize for it. But they just did a phase 1 study, and these studies are slow, so don't get too excited yet because it's going to be a few years. But that they vaccinated, I think it was like 47 people, and 97% of the people who were vaccinated showed antibodies that were positive. Now what we need to do is figure out if those antibodies in phase 2 are protective against HIV. So that's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's still like, even though it may be a baby step, it's still a step
It's a
forward
It's a
than
step
what
forward.
we had.
Yeah, and actually Moderna and I think Pfizer, but I know at least Moderna is partnering with that mRNA technology to try to help make this vaccine.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting.
But
I think you said even one of your videos, there's a new type of PrEP that's going to be injectable, right?
Right. Yeah, that's another thing.
Oh, really?
There's a new HIV treatment called Cabenuva. Cabotegravir, I think, is the generic term for it, but it's an injectable medication that for HIV takes the place of other HIV medications, so it's just easier. It lasts for 2 months, so I'm not sure in treatment if it's 1 or 2 months, but they did a PrEP study with it, and it was so effective against HIV prevention that they stopped the study early because they were like, wow, this is just mind blowing.
Wow.
But so, just getting a shot, and it looks like every 2 months.
That would be cool.
But side effects wise, I'm not quite sure what the side effects would be, if it would make you, more at risk here and
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
But if it's not kidney based, that would be something in the long run that might be exciting for you. For PrEP.
For sure. Especially anybody out there who may have kidney
Mm-hmm.
problems, and that's what's preventing them from going on PrEP.
Yeah.
For sure. And since we were talking about the COVID vaccine, so here in San Diego, Moe's University, which we talk about almost every show, did a Vax for Vax party where everybody that came into the party on Thursday had to show their vaccination card to be 2 weeks out from vaccination. And they were very sticklers about it. And it felt like summer of 2019.
Yes.
It was so nice.
Yeah.
And you know the big thing that I noticed? Everybody there seems so genuinely happy
I saw some videos on
be back
Instagram.
to normal. It was like a night, a couple hours of feeling normal, and it felt very safe because everybody in there, even the people who are working there, everybody's vaccinated.
I saw a video on Instagram of the drag queen that has had the
lights.
laser lights.
Oh, Glitz
Glitz.
Glam.
Glitz
Glitz
Glam.
was hosting it that night.
Yes,
Yeah, Glitz
been on the
Glam.
show.
Been on the show.
Awesome, yeah. And the people that were dancing around
Yeah.
were so genuinely joyful.
Oh, everybody was. It was like we ran into so many people that we hadn't seen in person in so long. It was so nice.
Yeah, I said I've never been happier to be pushed and shoved in my life.
Touched.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So how do you feel about with us now? Because it's been all over the news. There's certain states lifting the restrictions, and especially
Right.
with the masks. And I know here in San Diego, coming June 15th, it's supposed to go back to normal.
Right.
So what do you think? Is it too soon? Is it too? How do you feel about it?
I feel really great about what's happening. The vaccinations have shown to dramatically decrease infections. And even if you look at San Diego's numbers, now that more and more people are vaccinated and we're getting close to that critical number that we need to be at to really prevent a widespread transmission, we went from 4,000 cases a day in January and February to yesterday was like 64.
Oh, that's insane.
That's great.
But
Yeah.
it makes you feel like, oh my God, we're like starting to get back to normal.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Now, there have been reported cases of people who still get infected.
Yeah.
But if it's a Vax for Vax party, everybody's been vaccinated and showing proof of it. That's awesome. That's as good as you can get. And listen, it's been 15 months now since all this stuff began. It's time.
It's time. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, the one thing I really respect about our governor, Gavin Newsom, is that he was one of the most strict governors in the country. And I think why, with 40 million people,
Yeah.
why we didn't have more dead people was because of the strictness of the laws and stretching things out to June 15th.
Yeah, because
I'm okay with that. Let's get it completely as low as possible, and then we can really, really, really hit it hard.
Because I know New York already open, and we were talking about P-Town, in Massachusetts. They're open too,
Yeah.
but we're waiting here in
Yeah.
San Diego, which is kind of nice that in a way that we are.
Yeah.
Kind of see how everybody else.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are still very leery about going out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I went to Palm Springs in March, and I stayed at a small place that only had like 10 rooms in it, and I felt really weird about taking off my mask by the pool. And then I went a month later, and it was like, what COVID? Who cares? And then I went to the Hole 2 weeks ago on Sunday. It's our Sunday funny place. And,
the hole in the wall now.
the Hole in the Wall, absolutely. And it was wall-to-wall people.
That's what
really?
I hear.
Yeah, that's what I heard too.
No masks anywhere except for inside because it's an outdoor bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really, really fun, and it felt like
Everything.
we were from another time.
Yeah, I know.
It's like it's over.
Yeah, I kind of do. After we went on Thursday, I was like, okay, the Vax for Vax, I get it. I know people have different opinions on it, but knowing everybody in the establishment is vaccinated and they're not like and they had to show proof. It wasn't just the honor system of, okay, you said you can come in. No, they were actually checking and making sure.
Yeah.
Right.
That felt really safe. But walking in and taking your mask off was a bit trippy.
Yeah.
It felt so weird.
It is trippy. It really is.
Yeah.
I felt like I was naked. Like
Yeah.
and there was a time I went to the bathroom and got up from the table and went to put it on just
did
by
too.
habit.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, I don't have to do that.
Yeah. But everybody was having so much fun that night.
I
looked
love
so
it.
good.
That's
so
great.
now that things are getting back to normal, and during COVID, did you see in San Diego any kind of spike with STIs now, or is it still the same? How is that? So if people are getting comfortable to go out, start hooking up, getting on the apps, even though people were doing it during COVID,
Yeah.
Right.
Is there a difference now?
one of the big things with this whole thing, I was hoping that people would not hook up and get any sort of STI treatment. It was a perfect storm to be able to get out there and get everything treated
Yeah.
and like completely eradicate a lot of things.
Yeah.
But a lot of people just didn't pay any attention to that. I heard that Black Speech was packed every weekend
yeah.
last summer. And here I was holed up in my house because I was terrified. And plus I didn't want to give it to anybody else because I was in the hospital all the time.
Yeah.
But I think I'm a butt doctor, not an STI doctor. And I saw 5 cases of chlamydia that looked like a bomb went off in somebody's ass. I mean, it looks really bad.
Yeah.
It's something that chlamydia is really spiking big time. And then one of the other things, I don't think it's really hit San Diego yet, but there is an antibiotic-resistant gonorrhea strain going around.
No.
There was a big story in the Daily Mail about that just recently, and I know it had hit New York and maybe Chicago and LA at some point, but that's a concern.
And how does that get treated then?
Yeah, if it's
Some people have to go to the hospital and get IV antibiotics.
Shit.
Yeah,
Jeez.
yeah.
Oh,
So
you know.
yeah, I know, and I don't want to be that guy who
Scares everybody.
Party poopers everything.
Yeah.
But I'm just.
But it's the
letting people
reality
know.
too.
Yeah, it's
it
the
is out
reality.
there.
We
It's
gotta know.
happening.
You got to know that. So
And protect yourselves when you're gonna go out and have sex. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right. And so one of the things I tell people, hey, listen, if you're going to have sex and you're, the biggest things for harm reduction, number 1, get vaccinated. Hep A, Hep B, meningococcal meningitis is another one that was going around in gay communities because of like gyms and saunas and clubs.
Here in San Diego too, right?
Yeah, it was
when
a bit.
When I
Yeah.
moved here, they were like, "You have to get this shot
Yeah.
right away."
Yeah. So I got that shot about, I guess it was five or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
COVID vaccine, obviously everybody wants to do that. And then the HPV vaccine is available to people up to 45 now. It used to be just like teenagers. But, and that's one of the big things as a butt doctor that a lot of people really wish they had that chance when they were younger. So younger guys out there or people under 45, if your insurance covers it, great, get it. Absolutely get the HPV vaccine because anal warts are a risk factor for anal cancer, for throat cancer, for cervical cancer if you're a female. So, HPV vaccine is really important in my opinion. So you can get it older than 45, but usually HPV is you would have been exposed to it by that point, depending on how your whole life is going. It's kind of useless at that point to get the vaccine if you've already been exposed to it. But yeah, those vaccines are important. And then getting checked. Number 1 thing that I tell people, then people are shocked. Get checked where you play. If you suck a dick, get your throat checked.
Yeah.
If you get fucked, get your ass checked.
Oh, that's a good thing because some people go in thinking I just got to pee in a cup.
And that is not sufficient to check for gonorrhea and chlamydia if you are infected in your butt or your throat.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of doctors don't even get that, and it drives me nuts. But one of the great things about PrEP, and if anybody who's on PrEP knows that you go when you get checked, they swab your throat, they swab your butt, you do a pee test, you do a blood test, and boom, every 3 months, routine. But a lot of people don't know that.
And I love how simple you word that because I mean I love my doctor, he's great, but he's not worded it that like it's very clinical. Like, do you have anal sex? Like, do you receive? And so, but I like if you play, then get tested there. It's so easy to remember that.
Yeah. If you can play, get tested. Hello, people.
And put it, get tested wherever you play.
Yeah.
This is a question. I think somebody had asked this. Since PrEP has been around, do you, as a doctor, do you guys see a spike in STIs more now that people are on PrEP and not using condoms, or has it stayed about the same?
Well, there has been a spike in chlamydia and gonorrhea. Whether or not it's truly attributable to PrEP is hard.
People not using condoms.
People not using condoms is the big thing.
Okay.
Because honestly, a lot of people that are getting treated with or that are on PrEP properly and getting tested every 3 months are doing a great job of kind of putting out the fire.
Yeah.
And knowing what their status is rather than just running around and just spreading it like wildfire because a lot of them don't really have any early symptoms.
Yeah.
But you've got gonorrhea, you've got chlamydia, you've got herpes, you've got the warts, you've got syphilis, which is another big one that one of my followers was freaking out. He and his boyfriend decided to go on PrEP, and they were kind of long distance, and they ordered the PrEP, but they didn't start it, and the boyfriend had some sort of anonymous encounter, came back, they had sex, and then a month later, my follower was sick as shit, was losing weight, couldn't eat, and he had this funny rash on the palm of his hand. And he sent me this picture of a rash on his hand. And I said, dude, that's syphilis. Oh. You need to go get checked. He goes, well, I'm in the emergency room now, and they just kind of turned me away like I was crazy. And I said, ooh, you need to get checked for syphilis. Go back in and tell them to check your syphilis test.
Yeah.
And they went ahead and did his whole STI panel, and he was HIV positive and positive for syphilis. Whoa. And he had no clue.
Wow.
Make sure that you give it a week when you start PrEP to take effect. Like they hadn't even started it yet.
Right.
So.
And
that's good to know, though. Like, wait a week.
The time's actually been adjusted because they used to say 21 days, right? As a top. And was it like 10 days as a bottom? But now it's 7 days is what my doctor told me.
Yeah, absolutely. One great website is the sfaf.org website. It's the San Francisco AIDS Foundation. They have a lot of great links that you can go to and kind of get advice on things like that. Like what if I miss a pill? Or, oh my gosh, I'm not on PrEP and I had an encounter and I'm really worried about it. What do I do? And they talk about post-exposure prophylaxis, where you can go on medication for a month afterwards, PrEP plus another medication to decrease your risk for HIV.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Good stuff.
Should we get into some more butt talk?
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
Talk about butts.
Let's talk about it.
All right, I have actually questions from a couple listeners.
Okay, cool.
That asked. One of the ones that kept coming up was having anal sex. How damaging is it to the tissue, and do you get permanently damaged or stretched out?
Well,
that was one. Rob, why do you laugh? Everybody was wondering about that.
Just with regular penetrative anal sex, there's no worry. Fisting, it remains to be really seen.
Why do you look at me?
Hey, your premiere on the show was all about fisting.
It's true.
So.
Yeah. I actually, because I'm not a fister, I wanted to learn a lot more about it because I have a lot of people that ask me questions about fisting. Yeah. And I've been on some big podcasts that talk about the stuff. Yeah. So I did an international survey of fisters and got some really unexpected responses about fisting.
Really?
In general, it just blew me away, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. But when it comes to that, some of the fisters said, no, it snaps back to normal, no problem. And then other ones said, well, yeah, I'm a little looser for a couple of days, but over time it gets better. And then some people say, the older I get, it might be a little bit looser. And then somebody else said, well, who the fuck cares? When I'm 75 years old, I'm probably going to be in, having accidents from time to time anyway. I may as well have fun before I get there.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends on how big how big it is, what you put up there. Yeah. How fast you go. It's a patient process. You can get a lot of stuff up there as long as you're patient. And I'll give you some tips about that later. I've got this tip that I've given to people around the world, men and women, that has fucking revolutionized their anal sex play. Okay. It really makes it so much better for the top and a bottom. It's this little exercise I do called a butt clock. So butt clock. So the anus is just a tight little circle of muscle. Yeah. Skeletal muscle. And that muscle is extremely pliable if you're patient. So what you do is you stick your finger in about 1.5 inches, 2 inches, and press over to the side at 3 o'clock and hold it there for about a minute, and that muscle starts relaxing. It's like a key unlocking the door. Go over to 9 o'clock, do the same thing, hold it there, go down to 12, go up to 6. It's that clock. Over that time, that little tiny circle goes out to like that, and it really, if you incorporate it as foreplay, it makes the bottoms experience a lot better, and it's a lot less frustrating for tops who just need to get in there before they get soft.
Yeah. Right.
So
That's a good tip.
I know.
You know,
That is
I know you could start
brilliant.
off. You could start off with
Producer Rob, guess what we're doing tonight?
start off with rimming, get in there and kind of play with the ass a little bit, and then start sticking your finger in, just gently slide it over. It also adds some time to the experience, so it's just not a wham bam done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
I like that.
Yeah. So that has been a really big hit, and a lot of people have texted me on Instagram. By the way, I answer all of my Instagram messages, all
nice.
of them, 100% of them. And people say, "Oh my God, I can't believe it! I tried the butt clock, and my husband's like totally head over heels in love." And then, or women will say, "Hey, I tried the butt clock. Now I understand what gay men are talking about."
That was another question that I got was, is anal sex just as stimulating for a woman as it would be for a guy?
Well, one of the other things that I want to talk about is where our G-spot is. So if you have your partner bent over and you're behind them and you stick your finger in and you go in a couple of inches and go down at 6 o'clock, that's where the prostate gland is.
Okay.
Doggy, down, and in, down.
Yeah, down at doggy.
6 o'clock. Remember 6 o'clock, right?
Down at the bottom. That's where the prostate is. It actually is.
Oh,
and
nice. Good to know.
If you're on your back.
Yeah.
So if your partner's on their back and you're facing them and you're giving them head or something, if you slide a finger in about 2 inches in and go up at 12 o'clock, that's where the prostate is. And that come hither motion, while you're sucking a dick, the stimulation of prostate stimulation plus penile stimulation at the same time. I don't think I knew what made my eyes roll back in my head until somebody did that. It's fucking amazing. And one of the best feelings ever.
Yeah.
And so what I find really sad is a lot of straight guys don't know that.
Well, there is a taboo still about gay men or straight men liking anal, but I think it's kind of I see on social media and just with our show and stuff, a lot of straight men are more open to having their ass played by their girlfriend or wife now because it doesn't seem as taboo as a subject as maybe even 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Right. Pegging is a big thing now.
Yeah.
Apparently. And
So how is it for a woman to have anal?
Getting back to that, as far as women having anal, there, our P spot is down there. They actually have a lot of urethral sponge tissue up against the rectal wall there too.
Okay.
So there's kind of an indirect stimulation, but some of the women that I've talked to on podcasts have said, actually, it feels great. I don't necessarily come that way, but it feels great.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to.
Yeah.
What was another one somebody asked us? Do you have any?
Yeah.
Oh, somebody asked, how often should a person poop?
You know what?
I know. Producer Rob's like, Jesus Christ.
There's no right answer to that. Everybody's different. Some people poop once a day. Some people poop 3 times a day. Some people poop once a week. The people that come into my office and tell me I haven't pooped for 30 days, that kind of concerns me. I'm like,
don't point at me.
I'm like, are you eating? Good Lord.
Right.
But like, what is the average? Like, when should they be concerned? Let's do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing is changes in your bowel habits. So if since day one, since you're a little kid and you're going once a week, if that's normal for you, then that's normal for you, and you don't need to worry about that. But if you are a once a day kind of guy and suddenly you can't go for 10 days, something's
wrong.
Up. Yeah.
Something's wrong.
Yeah. And that's the other thing I wanted to mention with this too. The new screening age for colonoscopy for colon cancer screening is now 45.
Oh, wasn't it like 50?
It was 50. It just got dropped this past week to 45.
Oh, Rob, you got to start going.
Which means
next year.
Which means I'm 4 years overdue. So
I've had a colonoscopy twice after my kidney stuff because I was having really bad anemia and they thought I had internal bleeding.
Right.
So I had to get it. It wasn't that bad. I was like, you're in and out. They put you under.
Yeah,
it was fine.
The drugs are amazing.
Yeah. I came home and slept like a baby.
Yeah.
It was fine with me. You are really gassy afterwards because of all the air.
Yeah, we did put a lot of air in there. So yeah.
Did you have something, Rob?
About that? No.
Okay. Oh, and if anybody that is watching us live, if you have questions, put them in the chat, and then the producer Rob will ask the doctor.
I've got a question.
Mm-hmm.
So for douching, I've heard kind of different conflicting views of like it's not good for your GI tract. It's okay. How do you feel about it?
You know, I'm one of those that
Oh, my phone. How dare I? As the
Wow,
host of the
Tony.
show. I know. God damn it.
unprepared.
So unprofessional. Okay, go ahead.
when it comes to douching, you're gonna find a lot of people out there who just say, "Oh, you shouldn't douche. It's terrible for your GI. Oh, it's gonna disturb your flora. Oh, it's gonna the pH. Blah 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 blah." I'm like, "Fuck you." There's no science behind any of that. And these guys on TikTok that are fucking life coaches.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, they call themselves life coaches when they probably haven't given it.
Which means unemployed.
Exactly.
Right.
But, you know, they go on there and they talk about how you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. Honey, I've been a GI doctor for 20 years. I have never seen a single case in my career of somebody who came in with, oops, I douched too much. So, yeah, if it causes changes and issues and problems for you, yeah, you're probably douching too much. But if it really doesn't disrupt much, who the fuck cares?
I have another. Is anal bleaching? Is there anything damaging doing anal bleaching?
Depending on how you do it, there can be some scar tissue that builds up around the anus if you do it a certain way, and you know, depending on exactly what you're getting bleached.
What if you get electrolysis on your butthole to get all the hair removed? Is that safer than bleaching?
Well, I mean, that's I think that should be pretty safe.
Yeah.
But it sounds painful.
I know.
Yeah.
Getting your butthole waxed, Steven, is like, I know.
No.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
have another
No
one?
thanks.
One of my friends in Palm Springs is a professional waxer, and
Really?
he's booked out for like 3 months because he's got such a big clientele for
Yeah, every's coming out of COVID.
yeah,
Like, we
butt
gotta
waxing
clean
and
it up
ball
down there.
waxing and shaft
Yeah.
waxing and everything.
Go ahead, Eric.
I had a question for like fiber and timing. Like,
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
is it better like when before sex, and then like if you're taking it regularly, do you take it in the morning and at night, or both, or what do you think?
Yeah. Okay. So fiber. Fiber is really key for a bottom to keep regular, to keep things bulky with less residue, so that it's easier to prep. And some people don't even need to prepare. Like, I don't know who that is, but apparently a lot of people aren't into
He
that.
sells loops over there.
No, and I was wondering, is there like a recommendation on what's best?
Yeah, that's
because
best fiber to take.
we do have. Didn't Miriam bring one up one time on one of our
pure
episodes?
flow, pure something.
Well, there's-
Pure.
Yeah,
Pure
because there's
thing.
psyllium, and then there's the other.
Yeah. So psyllium husk is really the cheapest. You can just buy straight psyllium husk, and it's a lot.
okay.
It's a lot cheaper. And Metamucil, that's a lot cheaper. Pure for Men is a product that's aimed at the gay community.
Yes.
To take
They
advantage of
market
us.
it. Yeah. Oh, good to know.
And just charge you ridiculous amounts of money. And half the people that I talk to on Instagram are like, dude, I tried that Pure for Men. It made me sick as shit. I hated it.
Yeah.
And the other half are like, oh man, I take it and it's awesome. So
What would
everybody's
you
reaction,
recommend?
well,
Like, what-
everybody's reaction is different. So
Yeah.
you have to kind of see what works for you.
Oh, okay.
Some
Yeah.
people do really well with psyllium husk and Metamucil. Some people say, oh, it makes me bloaty and gassy. I don't like that.
Yeah.
Benefiber is a good fiber that doesn't make you as bloated and gassy. So try and see what works for you. As far as timing goes with fiber intake, you shouldn't take fiber with your prep or other pills that are important.
Yeah.
Because there potentially could be some absorption issues because it could bind the medication. There's no clinical evidence that actually happens, but theoretically you should take prep 2 hours at least
Afterwards, yeah. Wow, okay.
That's good to know.
Another big thing though about eating and bottoming. There's always that joke. You can always tell who the bottom is when you.
They're the ones with the
when you
chili
go-
fries. No,
Yeah,
I'm kidding.
yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, that's the top.
There's a guy with the chili fries and there's a guy with the ice.
And one leaf of lettuce,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
it.
There's actually some science behind that.
Really?
So there is a thing called the gastrocolic reflex. It's a reflex that your stomach sends to your colon colic. So gastrocolic reflex to empty when you eat to make room for the stuff that's coming in. So it's really amazing science. So you eat something, or like in the first thing in the morning, you have a cup of coffee. Within 30 minutes, you're on the toilet.
Yeah, you have to shit.
That reflex is something that sets the colon in motion. So you might not want to go out and eat a big dinner and then plan on bottoming, and within an hour after that. Now, I don't want people to get out there and get an eating disorder over bottoming. And trust me, some people do. Some people
I'm sure.
yeah, some
yeah.
people really do.
Yeah.
But know your body, know what you can get away with.
Yeah.
Work around that the best you can. especially people with like irritable bowel syndrome,
Yeah.
which is a lot of the gay community. I tell them to know what time of day works best for you. Clean out the best you can. Maybe take a little Imodium before so it slows everything down and shuts it down, and then have at it.
Yeah.
Go to town.
Yeah.
I remember this one interview with Kira Cedric, and she was talking about why her marriage lasts so long. And it's because for date night, they have sex first, and then they go to dinner.
Oh, that's the perfect plan. That is. And since we're talking about sex, erectile dysfunctional, Rob has something to say
Rob.
about it. Right, Rob?
Yes,
do you like
I
the
do.
segue? Do you like
that-
the segue? Or?
Great job.
We've almost mastered this.
Oh, my.
So, HIMS offers men access to high-quality medical products for issues all men face but rarely take care of. And they're a trusted destination for sound medical guidance with both prescription and non-prescription solutions. That ridiculously expensive little blue pill that we're talking about is now generic, which means that the prescription medication to treat erectile dysfunction is now affordable. At HIMS, you pay as little as only $4 a day. No embarrassing conversations, no expensive appointments, just answer a few questions online in the privacy of your own home, and a medical provider will confidentially review. If you're approved, your medication is shipped directly to your door in very discreet packaging. And you guys, the shipping is absolutely free. And if you go to our website right now, they're offering a 60-day money-back guarantee. So that means get hard or your money back. Now,
You know he was sitting on that the whole time.
maybe getting an erection isn't at all a problem for you, but instead you might finish a little prematurely. So, the great news is HIMS has that covered too, with either a spray, a pill, or both. Simply spray the most sensitive area 5 to 10 minutes before go time, and studies have shown men can last 64% longer when using the spray. Sex should be fun for everybody, and HIMS helps you enjoy the pleasure longer. So whether you want to focus on sexual wellness, acne, hair loss, or beyond, HIMS has you covered. Start with a free online visit. Go to whoinvitedher.net/HIMS, that's HIMS, for your free visit. Prescription products are subject to medical provider approval and require an online consultation with a medical provider who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. See our website for full details and safety information. That's whoinvitedher.net/HIMS.
Thank you, Roberta. That was great.
Yeah, no
Really well,
problem.
good. Hey, and that stuff's important. I'm telling you, with our community, you have to have a certain firmness to be able to penetrate.
Yeah.
So that's a great company.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any other but questions that people have asked?
Yes. Which one do I want to do next? Oh, so there is the girl movie.
Oh, yes.
Girls
This one
Trip.
came up. Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah.
She talks about hiding drugs in her booty hole. And she's like, you can't get an infection in your booty hole. Well, we obviously do. We know you can get infections, but is it a bad idea to hide drugs up there?
And this is a follow-up to that. Is it a bad idea to hide drugs in your foreskin? Because we know, you audience know who we're talking about, who has done this. Is it dangerous? Have you been asked these questions before?
No, I haven't asked. Not that one. Yeah. So foreskin probably less dangerous than inside your butt, because if that bag opens and things start getting absorbed, you're in for quite a rush. So yeah.
But not the foreskin. You're safer.
I think the foreskins would be safer.
Yeah.
That's some impressive
and
foreskin.
who's gonna search your foreskin?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I have. What are your top? Let's do top like tips for bottoming, and top tips for topping that people should know when if they're wanting to top or bottom. What are your top tips for them?
Okay, so basically with bottoming, you want to make sure that things are relaxed back there. You don't want to rip or tear anything back there. If the anus has a lot of delicate tissue lining it, and if you get in there too fast, you can tear it.
Yeah,
it's called an anal fissure. Incredibly painful.
And
it will not only end the encounter, but it will probably put you out of commission for a while.
Wow.
Yeah, and
oh no.
Yeah. So just make sure that you take your time, get lubricated, butt clock. Get
3, 9, 6, and 12.
Right, that's right. And then I recommend for people who've been injured or for people who are kind of new to bottoming is kind of start on top so that you drive how fast it goes in and how deep it goes in until you're comfortable. And then after a couple of minutes, hey, you can either stay on top, which is hot, or you can let the top take control.
Throw you around, do whatever they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember also that if something doesn't feel right, if it feels like he's hitting a wall, he probably is. You need to change positions because everybody's curves are different and everybody's penis is different. You know, some curve up, some curve down, some are straight, some go to left, right. So
some are like a baby's arm.
That's right. Yeah. Some are, which is a whole different story. But you have to kind of figure out what your curves match up to have a really good experience. So if you're not really comfortable with what's happening, then switch it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Robbie.
Actually, I did have a question. So, we're talking about the anal clock where you go 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3, blah, 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 and stretch it out. Is there like a second sphincter deep up inside that is also needs to be loosened up?
Well, there is a second sphincter that. So the anus itself, the external sphincter, is made out of skeletal muscle tissue, which you can actually control. So you can clench it to make it tighter. That's a Kegel exercise. Like you got to take a shit and you don't want to lose it. You don't want to lose it, so you clench it down.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a Kegel. So so that's a controllable muscle. The internal sphincter, which is a little bit more in, not very deep in, is not controlled by your brain, so you have to actually go in there and physically relax it. So that's the whole point of pressing over to the side.
Oh, gotcha.
The second sphincter, or the deeper sphincter that people talk about, is really more the curve of the rectosigmoid junction. So the rectum and the colon kind of come together about 10 inches up in there.
Yeah.
And there's a sharp hairpin turn there, and that might be what people are talking about when it comes to second sphincter. That's another thing about douching. If you douche a lot and put a lot of water up in there, then that water can go up over that turn and stay there. And so in the middle of sex, you can just have like a little flood.
That embarrassingly used to
happened
happen to
to
me.
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's happened to all of
Yeah.
us.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
You just
Your
want
water broke.
You want to run out of the room.
You're like, oh no, it's due time. Let's go. We're gonna have a baby.
Yeah.
What? I didn't tell you I was 8 months pregnant. 9 months pregnant.
That's really funny.
No. Oh, okay. So tops for tips. Or tips for tops.
Yeah. So it mostly goes back to this relaxation thing.
Yeah.
Don't just jam it in there because you could hurt somebody.
Yeah.
Take your time.
Unless you want to hurt them in their and you get consent to hurt them.
Yeah, if they consent.
Some people want to.
Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
Yeah. So the biggest thing is just really taking your time in that first minute.
Yeah.
Just letting them relax, and then you can go to town. Communicate. It's the biggest thing. Read cues. If you look and see somebody's not having a good time, or they're miserable, or they're not into it, switch it up.
Yeah, don't be a selfish prick. Switch it
Right.
up. Pay attention to your
Right.
bottom.
And also the funniest tip for top
Yeah.
that I ever left on my social media was let your bottom finish too. That's all.
True. Oh, you gave another good one about if you're topping to pee afterwards.
That's another important thing. Yeah. So because especially with no one using condoms anymore, there's a lot of bacteria. Even if someone's clean, there's still a lot of bacteria in the rectum. So you want to make sure you flush out your urethra so you don't get a UTI. And trust me, lots of guys after I posted that video were like, "Yep, learned the hard way."
Yeah. UTIs are not fun.
Yeah.
They're not fun.
I've actually been told you should do it even after masturbation.
Oh,
too.
really?
Is that a thing?
Well, I mean, it's less of a risk, obviously, but I mean, just to kind of clean the channel. But,
Cleanliness.
Yeah. But women, men, tops, bottoms, everybody should.
What has been some of the craziest things people have come in with is regards to butt doctors? Stuff that you've seen.
Well, usually foreign bodies are a big thing. Like the things that people shove up their asses.
What's the weirdest thing somebody shoved up their ass that you witnessed?
Honestly, the most uncomfortable situation, I never really found out what was shoved up in there, but it's always a married guy when his wife is out of town.
And she's always out of town.
Jeez.
So I get this consult one day at the hospital, and they're in a big hurry. They see an abnormality on his CT scan. It looks like ulceration down low where his rectum and colon come together.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, he needs a colonoscopy, so we're just going to start prepping him for a colonoscopy. I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'll do the colonoscopy tomorrow when he's clean, but I'll come in today and just talk to him. So I walk in the room, and there's this guy and his wife and his kids are like, way pre-COVID, a long time ago, around the bed. And And he looks really, really uncomfortable. Like, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say. So I said, well, hello, sir. I'm going to do your colonoscopy tomorrow. I'll just see you downstairs. And so I get down there and he goes, hey, doc, before you get started, there's a couple of things. Number one, I did a lot of cocaine last week.
Oh.
And number two, don't tell my wife what you found. You come and talk to me.
Oh,
I'm like, oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
Wonder what he did.
Yeah.
So I get in there, I take the scope, I go up and around the colon, and I come back, and on my forward view, I really can't see anything. But coming back out, about 8 to 10 inches in, there's this giant rip in his rectum and colon.
Oh no!
That's all ulcerated, and luckily hasn't popped open because I actually could have popped it open during a procedure like that, but because he didn't tell anybody what he'd been up to, nobody knew. And that's when I leaned down and whispered in his ear, "Why did you stick up your ass?" And he just was like, "Oh no, I didn't stick anything up my ass."
Lies and deceit.
And we got a surgical consult and a CT scan just to make sure I didn't make him worse. And then he was just gone the next day. Like I never saw him again. He would never admit what happened
to his ass.
But what happened apparently, I guess, is he was in the hotel room with somebody and did a bunch of coke, and they started doing shit with, I don't know, a baseball bat or
the lamp in the hotel
double-sided
room.
dildo or something, and ripped it. Yeah. So, but I've seen rips and tears from really rough stuff.
Yeah.
And I've seen foreign bodies like candles. I had this poor little 80-year-old Mexican guy come in. Oh, it was so sad.
He had tamales up there. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Tony.
What? I love tamales.
Well, his wife drinks those little Yakult yogurt bottles that are like 3 inches in plastic.
Yeah.
And he couldn't buy a dildo because he's an old
Guy.
Latin guy,
Yeah.
and he couldn't have a dildo in his place, right?
Yeah.
So he was using those Yakult bottles to fuck himself, right? And he lost it. And he went up there to get it, and when he reached up in there to get it and pinched it, it shattered and splintered out like this.
Oh, no.
Like a fish hook.
Oh.
And he couldn't pull it back out. So he had to really ashamedly tell me, that he had a plastic bottle up his ass. I'm like, honey, if you can tell anybody, you can tell me.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. So those are some crazy things. I've had crazy questions from people all around the world. First of all, one of the things I want to talk about with my Instagram is not so much on the funny side of things is the reach. I'm reaching people in Saudi Arabia, India, Iran, Egypt, Central Africa, Malaysia, people who don't have access.
And that is so important.
Yeah.
It's so important. Because I think people forget about that. There's a lot of countries where you can't talk about anal sex.
Yeah.
It's like against the law.
Yeah. So I have this guy freaking out in Saudi Arabia. I have something going on with my asshole. I don't know what's happening. If I go to the doctor and they determine that I've had anal sex, I could get executed.
Yeah.
Help.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Oh,
fuck,
that is
send me a vanishing picture. I'll look at it and see what's going on. So I look at his asshole and it's just a hemorrhoid. I'm like, just a hemorrhoid.
You're fine.
Yeah.
You're fine. Can you imagine the stress that I took off that person from just telling him that he wasn't going to be executed today?
I know. I think we forget that there are people out in the world
We take that for
don't
granted.
have the luxury we do here.
Yeah, absolutely. So
It's sad.
so these the amount of stuff that I do behind the scenes that nobody has a fucking clue about is ridiculous. I spend so much time doing
the
that.
most question you get asked? Like, what is one of the most questions people ask?
Well,
about?
douching is a big thing. I'm bleeding. What could the bleeding be from?
Yeah.
That's always a big thing. But getting back to the funnier things, like you said, I had one guy ask me one time if it was okay to douche with Listerine so it would taste better.
You all thought it. You all thought it at some point.
Because apparently it heard Vanjie say that you should put Listerine in your
You're
douche
gonna
water.
listen to Vanjie? What is wrong with you people?
But apparently he just meant a drop or two of Listerine, and not like pure Listerine.
What did you tell him?
I said, don't stick
Don't
chemicals
do
up.
that.
Yeah, anything harsh chemical-wise. And that's one of the things when it comes to douching, I tell everybody lukewarm water because anything chemical-based can really irritate your rectum and make it easier to get an STI.
Yeah.
And make you really crampy and stuff like that.
So don't put Listerine in the douche water.
No, Robbie,
don't
don't put it in your douche water.
Don't put Listerine in your douche water. The other thing is that's kind of sad is the lack of sex education around the world. I've had people come to me online and say, I have a boyfriend. I think we should both go on PrEP.
Yeah.
We're both virgins. We've never had sex, but I think we should go on PrEP. We're going to be monogamous together. I'm like, why the fuck would you go on PrEP?
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to get HIV. And I'm like, honey, gay sex doesn't make HIV.
Yeah.
No.
So, that's the level of things that we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And I'm getting questions from kids. Like there's this one kid in a small town right now who's messaging me saying, hey, I just found out my ex-boyfriend is HIV positive, and I'm absolutely terrified to go to the doctor to get checked for HIV.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely in a complete panic about it. I don't know what to do. And I'm begging him, please go get checked. Just go get checked. And he's like, well, what if I'm positive? I'm like, well, if you're positive, you can live a totally normal life.
Yeah.
There's a great treatment available. So don't freak out about it. Just get checked.
Yeah.
First of all, just to relieve your mind if you're negative. Secondly, to get treated if you're positive. But he's like, I don't have a place in the middle of Texas that I can go to. Like, I don't have a place where I can easily go get checked. I don't have insurance. I called one place the other day and they said it was going to be $495 for me to get checked for STIs. And he's like, I'm terrified. I don't know what to do. So those kinds of stories make this a lot more stressful than I thought it was going to be.
Well, for sure. I know here in San Diego, we got great resources.
We're so lucky.
Yeah, like Good to Go, which is here in Hillcrest, where you can get like a full STI screening.
I've used them. I love it.
Yeah, I have too.
Yeah.
They're
They
really
text
good.
message you like within the same day for most of your results.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a good organization. They do. They're over here on Park Boulevard. But if you're in San Diego and you need a resource like that, you can go to Good to Go. They have a website and everything. It's by UCSD.
Yeah.
I think is who does them. But we are lucky here in San Diego that we got a lot of
lucky.
resources.
Yeah.
Oh my god. It's already like an hour. See, I told you, time
goes
flies.
fast. It
Time
really
flies.
does.
You got to come back.
I'd love to.
And do more butt talk.
Absolutely.
And I had all this pop culture stuff ready to get his opinion on, and we didn't even get to that.
That's okay.
So how do
come
people
back.
find you on social media?
Well, you spell it all out. Dr. Carlton, DoctorCarlton, and that is on TikTok and Instagram. Instagram's a lot more personable and a lot more packaged. Like things are kind of headlined STIs, PrEP, douching, diet, bottoming, topping, things like that. And it also is kind of neat because it gives a little bit more of a personal touch of what I'm doing in my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then TikTok is just kind of a big whatever I feel like that day. Some days I'm just being stupid, and some days I'm being educational, and some days I just don't post anything. So.
Nice. And how do you respond? You respond to everybody on Insta. So
on
if you have questions.
if you have any questions, feel free to message me on Instagram. Follow me there. More than happy to take care of it, and help you provide you resources that you may need to get taken care of. Twitter, I just kind of started that, but my name was taken, so there's an underscore in between the Doctor and the Carlton. Yeah. I still have to find a platform to talk about my fisting findings.
Yes, we should do a whole fisting.
Yeah.
Now that you're getting introduced into the leather scene, who knows? Maybe you'll be doing some more fisting.
Yeah,
It's fun. I like it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I thought it was this whole Dom subculture.
Yeah.
It's not that at all.
No.
I read your research.
Yeah.
And I agree. Like with a lot of, we can talk about it.
Oh my
another
god!
episode.
You got to come back.
Yeah,
You didn't
it's
even
really cool.
Scratch the surface.
Yeah.
But that is it for us. I'm so glad you came on, Dr. Carlton.
I had a blast.
Very educational.
Yes. Thank you.
And if you guys have any comments or any additional questions for the doctor, leave them in the comments below. You can email them to us at thgang@whoinvitedher.net. And we'll ask you next time you come on. We'll forward it to you.
Absolutely, yeah.
But
Or slide into the DMs.
Slide
You
into
could-
the
You
DMs.
can send
Yeah.
it to us that way as well.
And how do people find you, Eric?
I am on Instagram, Party Bear Eric.
There you go. You can follow the show. We are Who Invited Her _podcast on Instagram. We're Who Invited Her SD on Twitter and Facebook. Leave us a 5-star rating anywhere you get podcasts. It helps us out a lot. And don't forget, if you missed the live show, you can watch us on Out at TV every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. You can watch my other show, Film Springo, Buff. For all you movie buffs out there, that is on Out at TV every Friday night at 8 p.m. And you can follow me. It's Tony_Baloney_macaroni. And that is it. Yes, Rob, do you have anything?
No, I've got nothing.
Okay.
Why do you need a sound effect?
No. Really? That's the one you pick out of all
Hey,
the board?
it is a butt doctor.
It's the Butt Doctor Show.
Doctor.
We could talk about this all day.
I know,
could.
seriously. But you guys, we will be back next week. Enjoy your weekend. That is it for us. Thank you again, Doctor, for coming on.
Thank you. So happy to meet you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
You had to do the fart.